The waiting is over. Not the waiting for a rumor to be confirmed, not the waiting for a guru's prediction to come true, but the waiting for the moment when all the preparation, all the reform, all the infrastructure finally converges into action. Iraq has entered the execution phase. This is no longer about what might happen. This is about what is happening right now, in real time, across every sector of the Iraqi economy. Let me take you inside the evidence that proves execution is underway. On February 10th, Central Bank Governor Ali Alaq sat down with Ruda and Erbil and delivered what is, without question, the most important monetary policy statement of the year. To the casual observer, it sounded like bad news. Alaq stated flatly that the central bank is not studying the topic of changing the exchange rate. He called market speculation great confusion and misplaced. He dismissed any link between the budget deficit and currency adjustment as an incorrect link. But you must learn to read what central bankers do not say. Alaq did not say the rate is fixed forever. He did not say the rate reflects the true value of the currency. He said the central bank is not currently studying a change. That is a statement about the present, not the future. And more importantly, he spent the rest of that interview describing, in extraordinary detail, exactly what the central bank is doing. And what they are doing is executing the most comprehensive monetary reform in Iraq's history. Let me give you the numbers that prove execution is underway. Alaq revealed that Iraq's foreign reserves now exceed $100 billion, including more than 76 tons of gold. The money supply stands at approximately 100 trillion dinars. But here is the number that reveals the scale of the execution. More than 80% of that money supply exists outside the banking system. 80%. Trillions of dinars circulating in the shadow economy, invisible to tax authorities, unavailable for productive lending, and entirely beyond the reach of monetary policy. This is not a sign of a healthy economy. This is a sign of systematic evasion. And Alaq was remarkably candid about the cause, primarily linked to the phenomenon of tax evasion and non-disclosure of revenue levels, profits and income that are achieved, especially in the trade sector. Alaq explained the execution mechanism with unusual clarity. If money owners feel reassured about the existence of a fair and transparent tax system, they will bring their money and deposit it in banks. Reassurance, that is the product that the execution phase is designed to manufacture. On February 11, the Director General of the Iraqi General Customs Authority, Thamer Qasim, made an announcement that proves the execution phase has reached the borders. He confirmed that the Kurdistan region has begun responding to the unification of customs tariffs with federal border crossings. He announced advanced understandings with the region to implement the ASYCUDA electronic customs system across all points of entry. This is execution. For years, one of the largest leaks in Iraq's financial system was the differential between federal and Kurdistan region customs duties. Traders would import goods through the region, pay lower tariffs, and then smuggle those goods into federal Iraq without paying the difference. The dollars that should have flowed into the central bank's reserves instead flowed into private pockets. That leak is now being sealed. Qasim was explicit about who is affected by this execution. He stated that those affected are traders operating outside the customs and tax systems, as their financial transfers are not registered in the ASYCUDA system and they lack tax accountability. Entry into ASYCUDA requires both an import license and a tax identification. He explained that the customs tariff decision does not cover all goods, but rather the most imported commodities that annually drain hard currency reserves. The objective is to rationalize imports, preserve the US dollar, prevent the outflow of currency in exchange for low-quality goods, and support national industry. Dozens of projects have obtained industrial development and investment licenses, including pharmaceutical factories, food production plants, and industrial facilities producing oxygen, essential materials, are now being produced by local factories and Iraqi companies, providing employment opportunities. This is the execution of Iraq's productive capacity. On February 8, hundreds of traders protested in Baghdad, shutting down markets across the capital. They hung banners reading "Customs fees are killing citizens." But the government did not back down. MP Shagadi Al-Zaidi dismissed the protests as an attempt to muddy the waters and stated the government would not reverse its implementation of the system. Baha al-Araji, head of the Construction and Development Bloc, explained that many traders previously imported goods through the Kurdistan region, where customs duties were lower and revenues did not reach the federal government. Under the new unified system, traders are now paying customs duties everywhere. He stated that objections were motivated by private interests rather than the public good. The General Authority of Customs announced that revenues exceeded 137 billion Iraqi dinars in January, attributing the increase to the implementation of the new tariff decision. It rejected social media claims that the new tariff caused revenue losses, stating the reality was entirely the opposite. This is execution, the government is not deterred by protests. The reforms are irreversible. On February 9, the Kurdistan region launched e-Psûle, a unified electronic payment platform. Governor Alaq traveled to Erbil for the launch and praised Prime Minister Masroor Barzani's leadership in advancing digital government services. Alaq was remarkably candid about why this matters. He said, "Everyone now understands that handling transactions with cash alongside complex economic demands is no longer sustainable. Establishing a secure and transparent electronic financial system is essential to restoring citizens' confidence in the banking sector." e-Psûle is not just another government website. It is a secure, centralized system for paying government bills electronically, operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with no additional fees or commissions charged to users. For decades, government bill payments in the Kurdistan region relied heavily on physical cash collection and office visits, often resulting in long queues, high administrative costs, and inefficiencies. e-Psûle addresses these challenges by enabling citizens to view and pay bills instantly through mobile applications, participating digital wallets, and partner banks. Alaq emphasized that the project represents a model for improving collaboration between the public and private sectors while adapting to global financial transformations. He said, "We fully support all initiatives implemented in the Kurdistan region. Electronic payments are not just an option, they are a necessity for increasing transparency and financial capacity across the country. This is the execution of digital transformation." On February 5, Governor Alaq met with U.S. Chargé d'Affaires Joshua Harris in Baghdad. They discussed prospects for strengthening the strategic partnership between the two countries and stressed the importance of supporting monetary and economic stability. Harris affirmed the United States' commitment to strengthening its relations with Iraq and supporting all efforts aimed at consolidating stability. He praised the significant reform initiatives undertaken by the Central Bank of Iraq, as well as its distinguished and productive relationship with the U.S. Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve. Harris expressed his full readiness to continue supporting the efforts of the Central Bank of Iraq, enabling it to achieve its goals in enhancing financial and monetary stability. This is the execution of international cooperation. Since November, Iraqi banks have had to comply with SWIFT international transfer system criteria to access their foreign reserves held at the U.S. Federal Reserve. Muzaffar Saleh, a financial advisor to Prime Minister Soudani, explained that Iraqi banks must now register their dollar transfers on an online platform that reviews every request. The Federal Reserve examines these requests, and if there are any suspicions about the final destination, it stops the transfer. Since this mechanism was adopted, the U.S. Federal Reserve has blocked about 80% of transfer requests due to doubts over where the money was actually going. 80%. Economist Ahmed Tabakali put it plainly, contrary to current misconceptions, rumors, and misinformation, there is no evidence of U.S. pressure on Iraq. The new regulations require high levels of disclosure and transparency. This came as a shock for many of our banks, who were not used to this. Sudanese government is not fighting the new regulations, it is embracing them. It is using them as cover to do what previous governments lacked the political capital to do: clean up the banking sector, force compliance with international standards, and starve the parallel economy of the dollars that sustained it. On February 13th, the Development Road Project advanced with new momentum. Transport ministers from Turkey, Iraq, Qatar, and the UAE have been meeting to discuss the multi-billion-dollar regional transportation project designed to ease the movement of goods from Asia to Europe through Iraq. The proposed $20 billion project is designed to facilitate the transport of goods from the Gulf to Europe via the Grand Port in Basra in southern Iraq. The port would be linked to Turkey and subsequently to Europe through an extensive network of railways and highways. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani has said the centerpiece of the project will be the development of the Grand Port and the smart industrial city adjacent to it. This is the execution of Iraq's vision to become a regional transportation hub. On February 16th, Iraq announced plans to reopen the Rabia and Al-Walid border crossings with Syria. The government aims to expand trade and transit operations and to further integrate these routes into the Development Road Project. The objective is to increase trade volume and make greater use of the routes within the framework of the Infrastructure and Logistics Project, which aims to enhance Iraq's geostrategic position as a link between the East and West. This is the execution of regional integration. Now, let me give you the market reality as of February 16. The official central bank rate stands at 1,320 dinars to the dollar. The Credit Bank of Iraq publishes rates of 1,300 for buying and 1,320 for selling. On the parallel market, the currency trades around 1,570 dinars. The gap is real. It is painful. Saad Altai, a retiree who helps his son run a small shop in Baghdad's Karada district, described it as a real problem. When the dollar was valued at 1,470, his pension was worth $336. At 1,570 dinars, his pension is worth $314. This is real. This is painful. This is the human cost of the execution phase. But it is also temporary. Alaq described the currency fluctuation as a temporary situation. The cabinet has decided to oblige all state bodies to sell goods and services in Iraq in dinars at the central bank's exchange rate of 1,320 to the dollar. The government is using its immense purchasing power to reinforce the official rate. The execution phase is designed to make the official rate the only rate. Alaq was asked about the money supply outside banks. He said, if money owners feel reassured about the existence of a fair and transparent tax system, they will bring their money and deposit it in banks. Reassurance, that is what the execution phase is building. When that reassurance takes hold, when the shadow economy begins to trust the formal economy, the 80% will start flowing into banks. That inflow of deposits will expand the lending capacity of the banking system. That expanded lending will fuel investment and consumption. That investment and consumption will drive economic growth. And that economic growth will be the fundamental foundation for a stronger currency. The execution phase is not about a single announcement, it is about the convergence of multiple lines of effort: customs unification at the borders, digital transformation in government services, banking compliance with international standards, strategic infrastructure connecting Iraq to the world, international partnerships reinforcing reform, rule of law recovering stolen funds. Alaq was honest about the exchange rate. He said such a decision would only be considered if Iraq faced an inability to meet demand for foreign currency due to weak reserves. And he explicitly stated that this is not the case at the present time. Not the case at the present time. But the present time is the execution phase. The present time is the customs crackdown. The present time is the digital launch. The present time is the road construction. The present time is the international cooperation. The execution phase is here. The reserves are strong. The gold is accumulating. The customs are unify. The digital platforms are live. The roads are being built. The partnerships are deepening. The rule of law is advancing. The question is not whether Iraq is executing. The question is whether you are watching.